And in fact, when I'm talking about, or when we are talking about the workers, it's just like come to my mind the role of this class within, if I can say that, within the Palestinian history and the struggle. Since the British, when they were chased, they were assassinated, they were jailed, to even the Jordanians, and after that to the Israelis. These people that we are seeing crossing these borders, and you see there, without them, there is no sustained economy in the Palestinian areas. These people is their children, who children and their sons who's dying on the checkpoints, on the confrontations, their sons who's the one who's in jails and spending some of them most of their life there. This is the most like vulnerable part, and they are the most important part of the Palestinian society, and the one is really neglected and abused so badly. And it's slavery, yeah, it's a slavery. I have been heard it means from so many of them, being there at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, sometimes 5 o'clock in the morning. And there is like small tape that I did it by myself there, which is like, I would just like to go with you a little bit in a journey with them. Try to imagine yourself as one of these workers. Wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, rush to this checkpoint, gather there, thousands of them. And what you don't know when they saw them, that these people is categorized. So they are workers with official permissions. There are 80,000 workers, they have official permissions. But you don't know also when you talk about permissions, that is official permissions come through companies, factories, and there is so many, like big percentage has been brought in a very disgusting way to be said. And this is when I talk about slavery, it has been bought. These workers have been bought, these permissions, either from middlemen or from even owners of the workers, and they are paying, some of them paying half of their salary monthly, not just one time, monthly. You will see them climbing, those you saw climbing on the top of the people, and you will see them more now I will present. These people, these workers, they have to go to work. And that's why they are doing, because whether they work or they didn't work, they have to pay for the middleman or for this broker, the 1,500 shekel that sometimes reach half of their salary. So another category, you find that what's so-called commercial permissions. You think that this is like for merchants, but these people claim to the what's so-called DCO, that they have like trade or whatever, and they went to work. But these workers, they didn't allow them to cross before 7 o'clock. So before 7 o'clock, after those with the permission get in, after 7, almost there's no work. Until they cross on the other side, it will be like something 8 o'clock or 7:45, and the workers is already in their workplaces. There is another category, over 55 years old, they don't need permission, so they cross to work. These two categories, when they go out there, of course, there's another word when you cross still this checkpoints. There is buses waiting for those who already know where to go, and there is also a market where these workers of like after 7, the commercial, and this 55, where the one who seek for workers, he came and you look at their faces, whether they fit, they have muscles, they can work better or not. Other category also, the workers in the settlements. That's also another story. There's around 30,000 workers in the settlements. Around 20,000 over 55 years old. 35,000 with this commercial permissions. Then the other one is the one that's smuggled. There's 15,000 workers usually, monthly and sometimes weekly, smuggled without permissions. Smuggled through the wall, smuggled through even the checkpoints. There's also a kind of trade is going on between middlemen and the soldiers on the checkpoint, where they put them in a closed containers, and they pass the workers and they pay for the soldiers. So they let them in inside there. Mostly these workers who smuggled like this, they stay there, some of them 6 months, 5 months, 3 months. Where do they sleep? They sleep in the greenhouses, in the sewage water system. They were all the time under threat, like, because if they saw them, they will take them to jail. Some of them, they chase them and they kill them. So this kind of life that's going on, it's like, it's unbelievable when you start hearing the stories of the workers telling it. Maybe they think that the 80,000 with the official permissions, they are lucky. But what they do to them? According to the Israeli law, they have to give them at least the minimum wages. Minimum wages like 28.5 shekels per hour. So in the working slip that they give them at the end of the month, they register to them that they work 10 days with 28 shekel per hour. So, but the fact, the reality, they work 25 days. So at the end, they end up with like 1/3 of the minimum wage that the Israeli law usually forced. Or other thing, like, and there's so many things to talk about, like, if there is any injuries happen to those in the settlements, or even inside there, somebody who had his hand has been cut, like I have stories in my mind, like I'm bringing something real, or even like his arm has been cut. The owner, he just like take him to the close checkpoint, or like the entrance of the settlement if it's in the West Bank, and give him to one of the Palestinian workers to take him to the Palestinian hospital. The agriculture workers in Jericho and in Jordan Valley, the highest percentage of the child labor in the Jordan Valley. You see 12 years old children is working. Where do they work? Usually they used them to work on the palm trees. You know, palm trees can be like 5 meters, 15 meters long. They put 2 or 3 kids, like in the lift, to the top of the tree, and they leave them for 2 hours there, or even sometimes more, to do work of picking or cleaning or whatever. So what's happening to the children over there? Many times, like this is in hot areas, where the birds even put their nets on the top of the trees, and many of the trees will be snakes there, following the birds. Many of these children has been beaten and died even. Some of them falling from there. Some of them staying without food, like for 5-6 hours, or without drinking, without like do the normal thing that you need to do on the top of the trees there. And what you talk about wages, it's 40 shekels, 30 shekels, 50 shekels, according to the owner. So on this situation that we are explaining, where is the Histadrut? Where is the Palestinian trade unions? As Ayman said, we have like 6 trade unions. One of them is the biggest, the BGFTU, which is supposed to be the official that belonging to the PLO, that we have a serious problem since long time with this trade union, because of the agreement that they did with the Histadrut. But like forgot about the normalization issue. Like the Palestinian workers since 1967, they are paying, they are forced to pay, deducted from their salaries, 1%, and that goes to the Histadrut that's supposed to be defending these workers, that they do nothing for these workers. This has been accumulated from 1967 until Oslo with billions of shekels. At the end, it has been sold, like there is an agreement has been settled and sold sold by like a few millions, like for hundreds of millions, that goes to the BGFTU, and they continue with deducting the money from the workers, and this money has been divided, 0.5% to the Histadrut and 0.5% to the Palestinian workers. And we are talking here about this sector or this people that's marginalized, that's main part of our society. Like I start shaking when I'm talking about them and about their situation, what they are doing, how they're suffering there. So it was since long time, like since Oslo, a demands like from unionists, like to improve the situation of the trade unions, to have at least elections, which is supposed to be like at least guarantee for improving the situation. Unfortunately, just to summarize this, it's like the trade unions has been like a quota of political parties. So even when you talk about elections that they do it like a kind of dividing, according to the power of each party, take this certain of number of seats in the, and what the workers to do with this? Nothing. They are far away from all what's happening in the trade unions. And this is, I am maybe part of the experience that Eamon talked about, and really became inspiring and giving a hope when these workers at the end find themselves like 90 workers in a factory in the Israeli colony industrial zone. They are dying, like 3 of them has been burned alive. And they don't have even toilets in this factory. There's no wages, is like 50 to 80 shekels. And there's no safety whatsoever conditions in this factory. They start striking. You know, even when they start striking, there's, it's a long story, I can't go with it, just like take hints of it. Like they do, all the Israeli powers, including the intelligence, work together to fail this strike. The intelligence were calling the main trade union organizer there, telling him, you know, we are afraid that you will be assassinated or killed. This is mafia. You have to stop this strike. He told them, you know, I have been jailed in my life, or you jailed me in my life 14 years. Let it make it 15, or you can assassinate me as well, but I'm not going to give up this class, these people's rights and the struggle. And they continue for 6 months. And we here talking about also the role of the trade unions. They start sending letters to the trade unions. They were part of BGFTU, by the way. They were sending letters to the BGFTU, to the other trade unions, to the Ministry of Labor, to the NGOs, to everybody. We had this serious, important strike. We need support. Nobody even answered them. At the end, what they did, they went to the bank and they get a loan on the committee that leading the strike on their own capacity, $15,000, and they were going every day in the morning at 5 o'clock in the morning with bag of bread for each worker, staying from 5 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock in the evening for all the shifts, blocking the factory. They were even going to the municipality, giving the list of the workers, don't take from them electricity, water. They went to supermarkets, they guarantee for them, give them what they need, the workers, and we will pay later. At the end, after 6 months, the factory fall apart, and they were having a court case against the owners, and they won the case, and they get back compensated of 7 million shekels of the 6 months and for what they were doing. And from there, they decide whether we want to stay with these trade unions or we want to start our new union. And they called it a new union. And they started, and now I'm proud that they became 10,000 members working in 26 unions all over the West Bank. This is the experience, this is a popular experience that we have the hope in, that we are building on. And at the end now, there's like the trade unions is in a big problem with the corruption, with all other issues. So the future is for these workers. They will find their way, as we all the Palestinians in all our sectors, we are finding our way against the occupation. Maybe we are living now in a little bit critical, bad situation, but we are going to come over it. The power of the people is the thing that we can gamble on and we can trust of. And they will win at the end, we will win. We all together will win. With your solidarity with our workers, with your solidarity with our struggle and our fight there, we will win over all this colonial oppression in there.
Yeah, just